What's up guys, FlamingVictini here, and I'm back for another World Cup analysis. This is going to be my third game in the qualifying stage of World Cup. I'm going to be using a Mega Heracross team, and my opponent's going to be using a Zard-Y Dugtrio team. Now, immediately looking at this matchup, that Zard was my biggest and basically only concern. I felt like if I could beat the Zard, I could easily beat the rest of Goao's team, and that tends to be a common feature of a lot of Zard-Y teams, especially the ones that are trying to utilize Dugtrio and also lack abandoned T-Tar, or T-Tar in general, is that they tend to rely on the Zard-Y for breaking. As you see, he's got Ferrothorn, but I'm not really too worried about Spike since I've got a Defog Zapdos. He's got a Rotom, which helps for pivoting, but it doesn't really put a lot of pressure on me. And he's got his Mew, which is maybe decently defensive, which is pretty good defensively, but I have ways to beat it. And really and of course Keldeo is not that big of a threat either because it's going to be Scarf Keldeo, not Spec, so I can switch into it nicely. So really the biggest threat to me is that Zard-Y. Now my team is pretty Zard-Y weak. The only really good checks I have to it are Scarf, Rock Slide Greninja, and STZ Outrage Garchomp. I've also got a max HP, near max HP, max speed Zapdos, so if a Zard isn't timid, max speed, then I can outrun it for sure, and even if it is, I can win a speed tie. Only Fire Blast will really be able to OHKO my Zapdos, and Discharge can do a lot of damage and have a good chance of paralyzing it. So Zapdos is another thing I'm keeping in mind as a check to that Zard-Y. Now of course, I am really worried about that Zard-Y, so my goal is to give it as little free opportunities as possible. So my Clefable does have Toxic, and I'm sort of okay with getting off Toxic against the Zard. I'd rather have the Paralysis, but Toxic is also good. And the other thing that's useful about Toxic is that it allows me to beat his Mew. Since the Mew is going to be Defog set, even though Stealth Rocks out PPs the Defog, I'd rather pressure it out immediately, and Toxic's going to help me do that. One thing I do need to be worried about though is that Dugtrio. If it's a Groundium Dugtrio, which I expect it to be since I don't see any other Z move on his team, then a Screech plus Tectonic Rage on the Clefable is going to knock me out, and I have to be really worried about that. Rocks are really crucial in this matchup because I need to keep the Zard as pressured as possible. Force it to waste turns roosting on switches to my Greninja or Garchomp, or if it attacks, to force it to stay very weakened and low, so it has to roost later. So yeah, that's really my game plan going into this game. Keep up rocks, keep up pressure. I noticed Garchomp is really my greatest breaking tool against him. He also isn't very good against Heracross, but Heracross lets him Zard. So my first goal is to really try to get Rocks up, get some pressure on him, and then start to go in with Chomp. And really my plan to go in with Chomp is to set up on that Charizard Y, because he doesn't want to lose a Zard since it's his main way of breaking, and that's my easiest chance to grab a Swords Dance and trying to put work into his team. Garchomp even has the potential to sweep up, so I lead off with my Zapdos. The reason I do this is like really to put the pressure on the Zard. I don't want to lead with something that gives him a lot of freedom with the Zard, but the Zapdos is also not that easy for him to handle, and it forces him to a more defensive mon like Mew, so I can try to take advantage of it. So he's going to go to his Mew. I'm just going to go for a simple Discharge because I have a chance to paralyze this Mew, which is not as amazing as a Toxic on the Mew, but it's still pretty good since the Mew might also be faster than my Heracross. Even though my Heracross is jolly, but the Mew is still probably faster than my Heracross, especially once I've Mega Evolved my Heracross. So paralyzing the Mew is useful, especially if it's a Psychic Mew. If it's still just Will-O-Wisp, that's annoying, but it's not as bad, but like Psychic Mew would be pretty bad, and still getting burned is not ideal. So anyway, I'm going to go into my Clefable as he tries to go for a Will-O-Wisp and ends up burning me. I have Magic Guard, so of course that's perfectly good for me. I'm going to go sort of make an aggressive play. I'm going to go straight for a Toxic. I was trying to catch the Zard right here because I didn't want to throw up rocks and give him a free switch right away, but in hindsight, I think just using Stealth Rocks would have been totally fine. I missed Toxic, which is sort of annoying. I decided I'm just going to go for my rocks right here, and this is sort of a mistake. Like, I didn't realize what his plan was right here, but by Hydro Pumping, he's trying to push me to Soft Boiled on the Volt Switch, and he's going to bring in his Dugtrio, and he's going to Screech me and Tectonic Rage me, and I lose my Clefable. So yeah, that was a trade that I was... Yeah, I realized this after he clicked Volt Switch, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm going to get trapped by Dugtrio, so I think I could have maybe handled this a little bit better. I maybe got a little bit more use out of my Clefable. With the Rotom, it is very hard to avoid letting the Dugtrio trap me, so it's kind of tricky. I'm going to get off a Moonblast before he can Tech Rage me, and I'm going to choose right here to go to my Heracross. The reason I went to my Heracross over, let's say, my Greninja is because Heracross really ensures that I get a kill. I'm sort of okay with getting Toxic. I figure that's the best thing he can do to me, and I'm sort of okay with getting Toxic because it means I can't get burned by the Mew, and most defog Mew are Ice Beam, so I'm not expecting Psychic. So to me it's sort of an insurance to be poisoned, and also because it really puts the pressure on him to go to Zard right away, which is what I was trying to do. So the other thing is like going to Greninja and using Scarf U-turn, he's just going to go Ferrothorn, and then I'm going to have to go Heracross and CC anyway, and it's just not ideal. The reason I didn't CC the Dugtrio is because I didn't want to let him go to his Keldeo. I was specifically trying to make sure that he goes to his Zard. So he does go to his Zard. I'm going to go into my Garchomp, as he's going to Mega Evolve and go straight for the Flamethrower. Doesn't want to risk roosting as I stay in and Rock Blast. Pretty fair trade. Pretty fair move, rather. He's going to do 45, he's not going to 2-hit KO me. I think Solar Beam might have a chance to take me out, but I think it's pretty low. So I'm just going to go straight for the SD. Now right here is a pretty good chance to win if I just EQ and catch the Ferrothorn. I do have Fire Fang, which will OHKO it, but I really want to keep myself out of range of the Keldeo. And right now, under the sun, he's not going to be able to OHKO me with any move. That being said, Devastating Drake is really my best move overall. Like, I pretty much guarantee that I'm going to get a kill and some good damage from this. Now, right here again, I could have gone for Outrage. In retrospect, I think maybe I should have, because it's pretty obvious that he's going to pivot to Rotom and then back to Ferrothorn. And I'd rather predict the switch of Ferrothorn into Rotom than predict the switch of Rotom into Ferrothorn, if you get what I mean. So right here I'm just going to go for a safe Outrage. I feel like there's really no other better play. I might as well guarantee my kill. And in retrospect, I think I should have Outraged on the Ferrothorn. If he switches, then that's great for me, and if he doesn't, I really don't lose that much. That being said, I do ensure that I get Rocks damage on the Rotom, which is kind of nice. So the sun wears off that turn, so he's going to be able to go to his Scarf Keldeo and Scald me. Right here, I'm going to choose to go to my Heracross. Now, I could have gone to Zapdos, but again, one of my biggest concerns is that it's Zard Y, and I really don't want to give that Mew a chance to defog. So going Zapdos will give him that chance to defog, so that's why I don't want to go to Zapdos. I could go to Ferrothorn, but same thing, Mew's going to come in and defog. I could go to Greninja, but I mean, Greninja's not really beating the Keldeo, so he's just going to Scald again, and then I'm not going to be able to get to my Heracross. So really, Heracross is my only play. Now I'm going to Mega Evolve because I really do want the bulk of Mega Hera and the increased damage output, and at this point I don't really need the extra speed. So I Mega Evolve, Close Combat that Rotom. Thankfully that's enough to take it out. I think if it was max defense it was a roll, and if he wasn't, then it was still fine for me. And I think based on the lack of leftovers recovery, he may have been a what's it called, a Wiki Berry set. So yeah, it's good that I was able to not necessarily a Wiki Berry, but one of the super citrus berries that regains 50% of your health after you drop below 25. But yeah, so I Close Combat the Rotom, take it out. He goes to Keldeo and pulls a nice double here to his Mew, so he's going to get the defog. Not really much I can do about that. I'm going to decide to go hard back into Heracross, because I want to put as much pressure on this Mew as I can. I know he's going to have to defog this turn, so I'm going to take that as a chance to just go to my Heracross. He doesn't really have a good switch in. Again, I can predict it and go for a Close Combat, but there's a chance that Mew is Psychic. I would live one Psychic, but I really don't want to take it, and I really wouldn't want to take 2 Ice Beams and even more toxic damage than I need to. And I know once I pin Missile, I'm going to put him in range of basically every other attack, so I'm totally fine with that trade. I'm going to switch out to my Ferrothorn as he goes to his Zard. Now, I was considering going Zapdos on that Keldeo, but Zapdos is 2-hit KO'd by Hydro Pump, and I really wasn't wanting him to like make a play like that and then put me in a really tough position. I felt it was enough for me to go to Ferrothorn and then go to Zapdos, because his Zard still is at 50, so it's sort of pressured to heal up. And he's going to take the opportunity to roost on what was my Ferrothorn, and he's going to choose to stay in right here. And this is really, really big for me, because I get the paralysis with the discharge, and that's like really huge. It really helps me a lot, because if I didn't get that paralysis, I would have to have made a lot of hard reads, I feel, in this endgame, especially since basically Heracross is my only method of beating that Mew. So I'd have to make a lot of hard reads, I feel, in this endgame, and it might come down to how long my Heracross can survive with the Toxic. But now that I've got this paralysis, my Heracross has even more opportunities to come in, and it's just going to be even better for me. So I'm just going to go for a Roost because another Flamethrower won't kill me, and it's not really doing that much damage. That's really, really weak. I think that's like Timid, not max speed or something like that, or maybe I want a speed tie. But I just Roost up as he switches to Mew, and I'm going to go to my Ferrothorn as he just goes straight for the Ice Beam. I think he just wanted to like hit Heracross on a potential Wisp switch, and I'm not really sure. I'm just going to go for a knockoff, because knocking off the Mew's lefties is good for giving Zapdos the potential to beat it. Like, Zapdos should theoretically be able to PP stall the Mew out of attacking moves. It's more about being able to kill the Mew, and if I get the paralysis and it doesn't have lefties, I have a much better shot of doing that. So I'm going to knock off and do 20 to the Zard. Now, due to the changed paralysis mechanics, my Ferrothorn is going to be slower than the Zard, so I'm not going to stay in. I'm going to go to my Greninja, as he just goes for a Flamethrower, and I take that pretty nicely. I don't really need any health on this Greninja. I'm going to go for a U-turn. I think the U-turn would not have killed the Zard if he stayed in, but if he stayed in, I was just going to go Zapdos anyway. And I end up getting the U-turn into Heracross on his Mew, which is great. So I get my Heracross in on his Mew, and Pin Missile is going to claim a kill right here. He chooses to sack the Mew to Ice Beam the Heracross. As you see, it only does 20, and Heracross was never taking more than 18% from Toxic every turn, and I think it was at like 70 or something below, so, and since it was taking a kill every time it came, and I was fine. At this point, with the Mew dead, Zapdos plus like Greninja is gonna like win this game, so I just go for the close combat. I think Hydro Pump and Sun might not have killed, but it doesn't really matter. He misses. If he hit, I would have just gone Zapdos. I live a crit anyway, and 2 discharges win the game. Since he's paralyzed, I just take him out with another CC, and that's the game. So yeah, this game was pretty tricky. I think if I played Garchomp a little bit more aggressively, I could have maybe just outright won with it. But the way it played out, I was pretty happy with it, as it did a lot of work. Getting rid of that Ferrothorn really allowed my Heracross some more freedom and breaking open his team. And Zapdos getting that discharge process on the Zard while taking that Flamethrower like a champ really, really helped me out in making the endgame a lot more simple. And as you saw, taking that Toxic with the Dugtrio actually helped me a lot, because his Mew was pretty fast, and if it was able to burn my Heracross and start stalling Pin Missiles or something like that, it would have just been a lot harder to deal with. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this game turned out, and this sort of gives you an idea of how you should really play against Zard. My team is pretty Zard weak, but I tried to keep up pressure with the rocks right away, and then I tried to take advantage of his weaknesses as quickly as I could and start breaking open his team before he could start breaking open mine. And what that allowed me to do was allowed me to put a lot more pressure on him before he could pressure me. So I ended up having more mons to sack with, and since I had mons that could trade kills like Heracross and Zapdos that forced him into defensive mons for my Heracross to come in, I was able to get more kills than he could and eventually win out in the end. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys later.